Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Terra Drome. I'm KJ, a Black Genghis. Join with me, as always, is the one and only Travis Moody. How's it going?
Good, man. Just doing the thing. Glad to be back on the Terra Drome.
Yes, it's been a long time. And of course, I'm also joined by Chris Johnston himself, picture of Kit Bass Creations. What's going on, buddy?
Working on my plan for world domination, my friend.
Ah, nice. Yeah, Red Jackal and Red Laser would be proud. And speaking of which, we are joined with two illustrious red shadows straight from Skeletron out of Minnesota. We have Ben Conway and Mark O'Byrne. How's it going, gents?
Going great. Thanks for having us on.
All glory to Skeletron.
Yes, indeed. We've been really excited about this episode for a while. You guys have been killing it. With the updated version of Roboskull, of course, an update of the original Palitoy vehicle, probably one of the best action figure vehicles ever made. And now we have your new version. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Mark, I see you have a sample of the Roboskull right there by you.
Conveniently enough, yes, I do. This is the guy.
Goodness. I love it. It's like a TIE fighter just did ayahuasca. Like it's
yeah, it's pretty great. We were so excited when this thing shipped to us.
No, it's beautiful. So with this is a really bold design. It's dripping with love for the original vehicle, designed by the one and only Bob Brecken. Am I saying that right? Brecken? Yeah.
Some people say Brecken, some say Brecken. So you're good.
Brecken.
He's still an amazing designer and creating an amazing vehicle. And now we see this new version. So what were some of the guiding principles of this new version of Roboskull? Like, was the fact that it was for an adult collector market, meaning that you can make it like scarier, you can make it a more realistic skull? Like, what were some of the guiding principles that really brought this thing to life?
Great starting off question, KJ. So it really was made for collectors. I think that's a really big guiding principle for the whole thing, right? So we're not making this to go to retail, to be on the shelf at a retail store. We're making it for guys like all of us, right? Mark's a collector, I'm a collector, you guys are collectors. So that's who we're marketing the product towards. That's who the product's designed for. And that was, that's I think really clear in the way we approached it, right? Where everything we put into it is designed to appeal to like-minded collectors.
And you said it yourself, everything that you put into it, this thing is packed with value. You have seats for 4-inch figures, 6-inch figures. You have blast effects. You have glow-in-the-dark decals. You have the eye cannons. It's just, it's amazing. Like, and really, it's packed to the gills with so much stuff. This is the Skeletron accessories and whatnot. This really isn't just a vehicle. In many ways, it's a jump-off point to its own updated of the action figure line. A lot of love for the original Palitoy legacy, and we've seen Action Force come back through other companies like Valiverse. This is more like a truer recall of those aesthetics, right, from that art tradition. So did you face any pressure with updating these figures, or was that more left to your partners like Grindstone Toys, Marauder's Task Force? Was it really up to them? It's a chicken and egg scenario.
As far as the designs go, the designs start at Skeletron. So that's really the origin of the updated and the design aesthetic and the characters we wanted to do. So that really all started with Skeletron, and which is a large team of people. Mark's Mark and I are the core of Skeletron, and then we're supported by an entire group of awesome people to help us, help us refine those designs. Marauder came in as a real partner for doing the figures, right? Because the whole idea started with let's make a Roboskull, and it's never going to happen unless we do it. And then the project just grew from there. And once we realized we really needed to have, if we're going to have the ultimate action figure vehicle, it has to come with a pilot in order to do it right, right? And that's a whole nother project to do, to add a figure and design a figure beyond the original scope. So we were really lucky that that we were able to partner with Marauder John to use his base figure, design and all of those things that the details, the articulation, all those fine details that have to be, engineered right from the ground up when you create a new figure. And we had that baseline by partnering with Marauder. So that really gave us a really good starting point, partnering with them to get the 4-inch modern figure off the ground. And then from the O-ring standpoint, that really was something that Grindstone and John Kukovic and Troy McKee over at Grindstone, they designed that figure. So we were like, take our current designs that we developed for modern 4-inch, modern 6-inch, and then think about if they're, like bring them back. If they were in the 80s, what would that look like, right? So they had a really good time doing that. And when they presented the character sketch for the O-ring figure to Mark and I, I was like, I think Mark, you were the same way, right? We're just like, boom, done, perfect. Which hasn't really happened with other facets of the project. We normally do a lot of revisions and a lot of refining. So it was really, that was really cool when we got that. And the Grindstone guys did a lot of revisions before they presented it to us. Yeah. And then as soon as we saw it, we're like, you guys nailed it. So that was really cool.
Hey, Ben, thanks for assisting me on the retro carded O-ring today.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Yeah, I know the website was a little silly. It wouldn't let me buy more stuff. Come on, dude. What's going on with that? Like,
we gotta help you out with that, Travis. If you have any problems, if anybody's having any problems with their pre-orders, especially if it's to buy more stuff, you let us know and we'll walk you through it. So no problem there.
It's been an amazingly successful launch. I think it's at 800K. Man, let's get this sucker to a milli. Like, let's make it happen. We got 1 week as of this taping. So we'll probably, by the time people see this episode, have a few more days. I want to just give a quick shout out to the authors of the Total Roboskull book. I believe it's Patty and Brian Hickey and Patty Lennon. You guys have a murderer's row of artists. We were just talking today about the art from Doug Hart with that 2-in-1 package. So you don't just have Red Wolf, now Blood Wolf, and Skeletron, but you get them like the versatility of having the 2-in-1 in the same figure. The versatility in Roboskull, 4-inch and 6-inch scale. No one's doing this. No one's doing this stuff. It's see it. Fixer, man, let me tag you in here, AEW style, man.
Yeah, so I kind of want to take it back to the beginning, if you don't mind. I remember kind of being the man without a country, the Shogun on Facebook. When I get sent this video, they're like, dude, you got to check this out. Dude, you got to check this out. Dozens of people were sending me the video. Can you guys talk to me about how you, what was the idea behind when you originally started marketing it? Because as soon as I saw that video, I didn't know what the hell you were selling. I didn't know what it was about, but I knew I wanted it.
Ben, you want to take that one?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to launch a Kickstarter. We're a brand new company, right? So we're literally starting from ground zero, other than having, of course, the backing of, Marauder, Spartan Toys, Dave Proctor. We've got all these people behind us that we know are going to be able to deliver fantastic products. So we've built this team, around Skeletron, but as a company, we're brand new, right? So you've got to start somewhere. And so the concept was just sort of, be sort of mysterious and start to sprinkle some things out. which we had so much fun doing because people did start to pay attention as soon as we dropped the logo, like you see here on my screen. Like at first we just dropped a logo, and then and that was the first thing we dropped, and we built up from there. So that was really fun. And it just kind of, I think, created a little bit of, started to create a little bit of buzz, like what's this all about? And we had a lot of fun just reading some comments from people, things like, oh man, this is like hype, but I always am disappointed when the hype doesn't meet, when it finally is revealed and it doesn't meet up with the hype. And so I was really, and Mark and I were really enjoying that, because we're like, we're gonna bring it, like the hype's gonna be real here, and we're gonna deliver it. And then the same thing when we sprinkled out more and more. And then we finally revealed the Roboskull, and then people didn't know if it was going to be for 4-inch figures or 6-inch figures. And we had deliberately not, we deliberately omitted that, right? Because we wanted to get that kind of conversation going. And we had a lot of fun watching people like, it's got to be 4-inch. No, it's got to be 6-inch. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my mind if it's 6-inch. So that was fun to watch the debate and people talk about what they were really hoping it was going to be, when we knew the whole time that we were going to make everyone happy. So that was a fun build up for us.
I do remember whenever you messaged me, and I believe you didn't really say a lot, but you said just enough, like the little appetizing. You were like, just trust me, we're going to blow your mind. And I was like, oh, I'm waiting. And as soon as the announcement hit, it exceeded any expectation that I could have had for anything going these days. It was just the build up to it was really, really strong. And you immediately hooked us in, and then it was boom, here it is. And that's I was literally sitting on the side of the bed, trying to get ready for work, get the kids ready, and I'm refresh. Buy it. Just let's go. You guys did a masterful job. So hats off to you on that.
Fixer, one backer, number 3.
2.
Number 2, impressive.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick before I tag my buddy Travis, what was the moment, like you got this new company, you know what you want to do with these vehicles, you get the trademarks for Red Shadows, for Skeletron, and everything else. But what was the moment, if you nail it down to that moment, that you decided to just do this?
It starts with an inception of an idea, right? And it started with I'd like to see the Roboskull again, right? And it hasn't been seen since 1984. So how can we reimagine it? How can we bring it back? How would we bring it back in a way that appeals to me, and then will hopefully appeal to other collectors as well? And so for me, from the beginning, it was all about sort of that modernized, I call it the Pursuit of Cobra style of modern figures, right? So I'm like, I would like to see that. I'd like to see Roboskull like that. But it's actually quite a long journey from that idea to where it becomes real, like we're doing it, because you have to do that investigative work, right? You can't, I didn't say, this is a great idea, and then say, by golly, I'm doing it. Because there was a lot I had to learn before I could make that switch to say, yes, we're moving forward, this is going to happen. And it was a combination of things like, connecting with Dave Proctor, who's a friend of mine, and saying, is this a project that you'd be willing to take on? That I needed someone I could trust overseas that has a record of delivering the quality of products that I demand, that I want for myself, and that I would demand that I present to other people. So that was a big piece of it. Having Bob's involvement was crucial. Yeah. I wanted this to be a very inclusive, all in kind of a endeavor. So that was a really key component. And then the other thing, of course, is is this economically viable? Yeah. I didn't have the experience to know what a tool or what a ridiculous, Roboskull would cost in tooling and production costs. So there were a few pieces that I had to sort of shoot from the hip, get a ballpark idea on costing. And then at that point I said, okay, I think this is doable. we're doing it, and we're not going to mess around. If we're doing this, we're all in. And so that was, so I did some information gathering, and then I made the decision, we're doing this. And then we went down the path.
Yeah, I think the fun of it, Ben, was just the evolution of the whole project, right? Because when it started as the Roboskull, right? And then it was, well, okay, very quickly it was, okay, need a pilot, right? And then everything that just started to snowball from that. You go through the design phase for quite some time, at least on the Roboskull side of things, which was the primary focus. Then once the figures started to come into play a lot more, it was really neat to start going down that path as well and look at the figure side. So just a real fun evolutionary process of the project.
No, that's all amazing. Travis, what do you have for these guys?
God, I have a lot. So let's just go. I'll go right to the bread and butter. The sci-fi vibes of this whole thing, right? So it's funny because the same audience that was like, what's up with these sci-fi Nerf guns that G.I. Joe Classified has are now like, yeah, give me the breath of death. And these, a lot of this reminds me of Halo, right? Because we have like Space Marines, and like now people are the same people that want realistic military arms, like custom arms instead, are going after the sci-fi stuff. So how did you win that battle of sci-fi? Either one of you guys, like, I just feel like you're winning over the military crowd with sci-fi military stuff. It's very interesting to me.
I think Roboskull kind of lends itself to that with the ridiculousness of a skull with TIE fighter style wings, right? So it kind of opens up a lot of opportunities, for you to go down a few different paths. I know Ben and I are both, big fans of sci-fi, and to have this area to play in it's been a lot of fun, and it opens up a lot of creative avenues for us too with the figures and the product, the vehicle.
Yeah, and one of those creative areas is the 3 flight modes. I feel like that's one of the most underrated aspects of this thing. Everyone talks about the seats because it fits 4-inch figures, 6-inch figures, and then all the surplus of accessories. But having the attack mode, the evader mode, and it's like you said, an X-wing almost that can transform. You don't see that a lot with regular military vehicles. So how did that all come about?
Yeah, I'm glad you like that part of it, Travis. And Mark's going to obviously demonstrate here while we're talking about it. It really came about in the development of the product, right? Is how to make the wings as awesome as possible, and we really liked that more aggressive sort of combat X-wing look to it. And then we also like this idea of the landing, those landing pincers that could come down and land, but then that they could also fold away in flight. So we just thought that by adding all these other modes, it was just more fun to play with. It just gives you more play value. And there you can see Mark's got it in invader mode, which just looks awesome. And any way you look at this thing, front, back, it's just a really good looking craft. And that's a big part of that's Alex Wu, who we brought on board to do concept drawings. And he's a mad genius. He really, right out of the gate, took us down a direction and a path that I certainly lacked the creativity to have gotten where we were getting to without him. So he's an awesome designer. And we just kept developing it. It wasn't initially going to have all that. And over time, we just kept, how can we make this better? How can we make this better? And I would say that every part of this Roboskull, we really did look at it, of course, as a whole, but then we also looked at it like, how do we make the wings better? How do we increase the play value here? How do we, we want to be able to hold a prisoner. What's the coolest way to achieve that, right? Let's think outside the box and really focus in on different parts of the whole and make them better and better and better until we all were able to stand back and look and just go, yeah, that's it. We're ready.
What was your lead up time design wise before you were like, okay, this is what I want to present to the Kickstarter, before you started kind of teasing for it? How long did you guys have to work on that?
So from inception of I'm going to look into this and really go down the path to Kickstarter launch was well over 2 years. So it was a long time. We spent a lot of time in development. And part of that, too, is of course learning curve for us as a new company, I think. And then part of it also is just an absolute labor of love, and we just kept working it and kept working it until we were ready. So
yeah, this is one of the best vehicles I've ever seen in any action figure line at all. It's incredible. I'm salivating. I feel like I need Kleenex right now. More ways than one. No, so I'm saying that this is such a bold design, and I never see this on the shelves. So let me take it back to Palitoy for a second before jumping on this new design. What was it about the Palitoy Action Force designs that, in your view, your perspective, made them so much better than what Kenner was doing at the time and what Hasbro was doing at the time?
Well, I think for me, seeing the Palitoy Roboskull as an adult for the very first time, it blew me away. My jaw dropped, and I was like, it's one of those toys that you can't see it and forget about it, right? Like have you seen this before, or you haven't seen it before? You're like, I don't remember if I've seen it. You the first time you see it, you're like, I've never seen that before. Oh my God, what is that? It's amazing. And I love the ridiculousness of it, right? It's a giant winged skull that has lasers coming out of its eyeballs. It's got extra guns on it. It's so over the top and awesome. And I've just been a big fan of it ever since I first saw it. I had to get one. I got one at my first JoeCon. And so I just sort of stayed obsessed with it after I was really into it the first time I saw it, and I never got over it. So that's it really is all about the Roboskull for me, and why we went down this path.
How was feedback from the old school Action Force fans that, oh, here comes this Yank taking the Roboskull and putting it out to everybody? Did you get any pushback on that, or was everybody pretty excited about it?
I feel like the fan base, at least the people that are posting in places where I can see it, has been so exceptionally positive. I mean, there was, of course, a little skepticism, I think, right away out of the gate, because you're like, what is this? What are they going to do? And that was something, Fixer, that we really thought about as a team on the front end of that. Like, how do we make sure that when we launch this, we don't want it to feel like somebody is taken something sacred from 38 years ago and done something terrible to it, right? And I think the product, I hope, speaks for itself, but then also just steps we took to make sure that, Bob was involved personally in the project and supported it. I reached out to Ian Kennedy to do the packaging art early. We were right away thinking about those UK fans who grew up with the toy, which I didn't do. You're right. I didn't grow up with this toy. So we wanted to be, but at the same time, we try to be extremely mindful of that, because those ultimately, like, we know those people should be probably our biggest critics on this. So we wanted to get them as excited about it as we were. And I feel like we've accomplished that.
I would agree with you. In my short time in the community here, I've noticed that it's very divisive among other things. It's like, you either like G.I. Joe Classified, I loved that, or that's the worst thing ever. The worst thing that I've heard about the new Roboskull is, how am I going to get enough money to get as much of the stuff as I want? I don't know that I've heard anybody say a cross word about it.
Yeah, in general, that's what we've seen. It's been very positive. One of the big things to come out of the UK was simply, will it ship to the UK? And it's like, absolutely, right? So, so overall, it's been fantastic.
That Mark's probably right. That's probably the number one, thing that had to be done to make sure that the UK fans were.
Well, yeah, a lot of the overseas folks get left out of stuff like this, especially after the new trade laws and everything with Brexit. A lot of UK people miss out on stuff, and it's probably, you guys have just, yes, you're here, yeah, you're getting it. You're in Outer Mongolia, we'll get it to you. Antarctica, sure. If somebody will go there, we'll get it to you one way or another. You've ticked all of the boxes as far as you're not being overrun by the fans of like, we want this and you do this, and if you don't do that, you suck. But you give them, everybody's like, hey, can you do this? And you're like, yup, we're good. Hope that made sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I mean, we're from a design aspect, we're trying to stay ahead of all that anyways, right? We want to deliver the coolest toy ever. We're collectors. We know what we like, what we don't like, and hopefully that translates well to what others like and don't like. But we think so far what we've been coming up with is delivering, and that's the challenge for us. So we just want to continue to push ourselves, push our own creativity to come up with something even cooler.
So another question that I've had for quite a while, anybody that has known me for a little bit knows that I'm a lore junkie. Do you guys have any plans for any sort of lore, like a comic or a book, say anything as far as lore, or is it just like, this is here, make your own story?
Yeah, that's a great question, Fixer. We get that a lot. And we are developing, we are and will be continuing to develop the lore around the whole story. I think in line with kind of how we introduced our brand and how we came out, Mark and I like a little mystery too. We like to keep it a little have your own imagination kind of infuse this. So we're really not in a huge rush to fill in all these blanks for everybody. I think we're going to move that along at a pace that feels comfortable. And the other thing is that, with 2 years of development just in the Roboskull, the vehicle itself, that was such a monumental task, and we have such a monumental task, not monumental, but big. It's a lot of work to get us, hey, great. We had a really successful Kickstarter, but we have a lot of work in front of us, because we don't say mission accomplished until we have beautiful figures and vehicles in everybody's hands, which is still over a year out from now. So we've got a lot of work to do. And I think for us to put the care and the thought and everything that we want into all the lore right now, it's just not at the top of our list. We have so many other things to focus on, and we do have people that are helping out with that. And I think the reality though is that Mark and I we're not ready to hand it over to a writer and say, hey, you get to write all this and you get to decide. And we're relishing it too much to let that go and just have it kind of handed off to us and say, here you go. So we don't have any plans currently for a comic book. I love that KJ put up that little comic book mini book, because that's right on the money of the kind of things that we get excited about, right? Like those old masters of the universe, like pulpy little mini comic book, that kind of stuff. That really does it for both Mark and I think. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Travis.
Yeah, I think this connects. I love the synergy that you guys have with Marauders, with Grindstone, with 3D Joes, and so that kind of fits into the lore as well. You guys are all working together. I'm just imagining just a big Skeletron verse, or whatever it is. It's just going to be awesome, especially with Grindstone's Kickstarter coming out in May, with the 3 3/4, and then of course we have the carded Wolf Trooper and everything, and Skeletron figure as well. So just kind of, of course, GI Joes, O-rings I got behind me. So just kind of throwing it all into one massive universe, and then maybe some lore can come out of that as well. I know Grindstone's doing a comic with their Kickstarter. So yeah, and Troy and John, so they've taken a different approach to their project than we did to ours. They've built up a lot of that lore for their universe for the call sign Longbow. So they've created a lot of story. They've got a huge, it's almost in a lot of ways, I feel like they're mirroring a lot of what G.I. Joe did in '82, right? Where they had a brand Bible, and they started, Hama started creating these file cards for the characters to keep track of them. And so they're doing a lot of that work to build their characters and have the backgrounds. And so they've got a tremendous amount of lore behind what's coming on the Kickstarter next month.
And I don't think I'm saying anything that isn't really, you know, maybe it hasn't been said quite like that. But I know that those guys, the Grindstone guys, that story and that all of that background in their, you know, retro 80s battle against the Cold War Russians is a big, you know, is a big part of their whole launch. So it's going to be fun to see that develop. They have a comic book coming out. And you know, with those guys, like they even have, as soon as we decided to do the O-ring, just again to make it more fun and keep everybody, you know, just bringing everybody into the project. Troy was thinking about how does this character fit into the call sign longbow world? You know, does it fit in? Does it fit in? Is it on the same timeline? Is it on the same planet? How does this all work? So he's the kind of guy where his mind goes right there. Like, how is this all going to work from a universe building standpoint, which is really cool.
When I saw the first promo shot with Red Skull being in 6-inch figures, and you had Destro in there, who was famously Palitoy's Red Jackal, and it's like, oh, these guys are serious. Like, they mean it, right? And it's like, here at Terradrome, we're a custom focused show. It's like, I'm seeing people, shout out to Full Force Podcast. I believe that host, his wife had made him a Baroness Ironblood, looked amazing. I'm seeing Shadows Bats. I'm seeing people take Flint and Duke and make Z-Force captains. It's like, the love is still there. And you see like how the love is really leading the art, not the commerce, right? It's not like commerce driven art. I mean, it's still like I said, we're trying to get you guys to it's real, but it's like, you see where the love and the passion from the customizer community is really driving stuff like you guys create Roboskull, like Grindstone and Longbow, like Carson Metaxas and our Recall. It's great. Like, it took a severe amount of willpower not to jump into 118 and O-ring, because it's like, until money grows on trees, I have to be picky. But you guys are killing me out here. It's like, I'm about to, this is the birth of, I'm calling it, this is the birth of my 4-inch collection. Like,
all right, we just witnessed that, guys. He's in.
Yeah, we will be very proud if that's what kicks it off.
So I love that you guys have modern tributes to Action Force, and then you also have the retro. I believe you can get the retro 2-in-1 figure. You can also get a 5-pack. Is that still available, or no? You can't really get that.
The 5-pack was only available during the Kickstarter, so okay. So it is. But the 2-in-1 with everything same. It's the same figures available at the same unit, you know, item price that was available in the Kickstarter. It's still available on the backer kit for the next week.
Yeah, the alternate head is crazy.
Yeah,
like, and the laser sword, like, that's amazing. That's why I had to get another one, because awesome.
Yeah, I would say kids would love this stuff. And when I'm an 80s kid, so we were famously not talked down to. I saw The Thing earlier than I should have. I saw The Fly before I should have. But it's like, we were tough kids, you know. And shout out to my 70s kids, my Gen X kids out there too. But I feel like toys were talking down to kids. Like, these kids have like these giant gummy figures. It's like, no, man, you can get the kids the good stuff. They know what to do to this stuff. So would you have any room in your Skeleverse, your Shadowverse, for something for kids play down the line? Is that something?
Not at this time. That's not in the plans. And really, it's just a matter of, you know, our focus, and the reason we're doing this project is because these are the toys we want, you know, that we wanted, and we're part of it. We're part of the adult collector community. That's not to say that down the road that couldn't happen, but it's certainly not something that's on our planning block to go that direction. The truth of the matter is that, you know, like, I don't know how many of you guys have kids, but my kids are now past the age of wanting to play with action figures. I'm the only one that hasn't grown up yet in my household, and the ages that kids are playing with toys continues to go down. Right, kids grow out of toys more and more quickly. So that's a big, you know, that's a bigger. I think that's a bigger conversation outside of, you know, about what we're doing right now. But long story short, no, we don't have any plans currently to go to get into that, that end of the market. If we eventually do, that means that things went really, really ridiculously well for us, I think, at that point. If we end up there. Wouldn't you agree, Mark?
I would agree. Absolutely.
Ben, you're not wrong. I offered a leftover wrestling figure I didn't want to my girlfriend's son. He's 5, and he was like, "Nah, I'm good." And then went on like his iPad or something. Like, so yeah. He's 5.
I have 3 kids, and
I had He-Man.
None of my kids have played with toys in years.
Wow.
It's the iPhone and the PC and Fortnite and
YouTube,
all the things that they do. Yeah, YouTube is real big with my 2 younger kids. So yeah, they don't care about toys.
No, toys are for us.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's right. This is for us, Travis. That's right.
If I have kids, I'm raising them Amish. It's like
Attaboy.
Lincoln Logs. I'm gonna work them up to action figures and whatnot.
Yeah.
I have an analog childhood. I'll be sure of it. I alluded earlier to this great art tradition that you gentlemen are now a part of, right? Just want to give a quick shout out to Ken Kelly, some of the work that he did. The late great Ian Kennedy, who did such great work, and Battle Magazine, which then became Battle Action Force Magazine. You guys, I feel like you guys are doing what Marvel Studios did with their concepts, with their characters. Like this Roboskull to me is on the same level. So I would be really excited to see what you end up doing next. I know Palitoy would take something like this snake armor and turn it into an action force vehicle. They took the Hiss in their own version. So like what's on the horizon? Like is it that hush hush right now? That's in the Red Shadows laboratories. You can't really reveal that just yet.
Yeah, you're right. It's in Red Shadows laboratories, and a lot of it resides. I would say most of it resides in Mark's noggin at this point, because we're trying really hard not to get overly not to think too much about what's coming for Wave 2 and beyond, because we have so much work to do now. So, but you know how it is. You can't stop thinking and imagining what's next. So we definitely have plans. I'm sure they're going to continue to evolve as we develop this first wave of product. So, but count on it. We've got more coming, and that's really that's entirely because of all of the backers and you guys and everyone who pledged. That put us in a position to say, yeah, this is more than like one guy's fantasy run amok and out of hand, right? So and to that point, we really got to thank all the Kickstarter backers for all of the support that they threw our way. They're the ones that got all this product unlocked, and there's a lot of things that are included right in the box out of the Roboskull that we had no idea, no concept of that we were going to end up including them in the box because of that overwhelming support. So it's pretty cool. It's really, for me, what a Kickstarter is all about, right? That kind of community and making it happen. And in this case, it was everybody made it happen and then some.
Yeah, last night on What's on Joe Mind, Mark Weber said that your next Kickstarter is already backed. I just laughed. He's like, it's already done.
Speaking of the Kickstarter, so I was just looking last night, and I was talking to Ryan Sweeney. Shout out to my boy Ryan Sweeney, backer number 4, by the way. He did want me to ask you if you guys would marry him, but I told him that I was here first. So I digress. So what sorry, he literally did ask me, but I said, do you have any questions for the guys? He goes, yeah, ask him to marry me. And I was like, no, you're mine. I don't want to share you. Ryan's my best friend in the world. I love that guy, man. He was there for me when it was a really dark time for me. And I love that guy as long as the earth will spin. But anyway,
we love Ryan too. He's been a huge supporter, and we really enjoyed his support. Thanks,
he
Ryan.
was the first guy to send me the video to be like, hey man, you need to check this out.
Yeah.
Because he was at the time he was doing he's a Patreon for Chris over at Full Force, and a patron, sorry, not a Patreon. And he was like, I know some stuff about this, and you're going to want to get in on this. So Ryan was the one that roped me in. But my question is, I was looking at it, I was adding some more Skeledrones because you can't have enough Skeledrones. And I looked at the original Kickstarter, and I went with I was on the all-in, the original all-in, which was what I think $415, Ben, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that sounds
like
right.
that.
It's starting to fade.
But
I had all the numbers locked in for a while, and now they're starting to fade a little bit. But
the point, it was like low 400s. But my point was that the amount of stuff that I'm getting for that price is insane. Were you ever kind of scared when you looked at it like, oh my God, we're going to go broke because these guys, they scooped all of these up and we've got to do all of this stuff now?
It was it's a great question, Fixer, because the amount of stuff that got added obviously ended up being way beyond our initial scope of what we thought we were going to do. And from a Kickstarter standpoint, I think it was really fortunate that we had a limit, like a number to cut it off so we could raise the price again. Because if we had just had that unlimited at that 415 or that low 400, whatever that was, the project would have had to have stopped earlier. We would have had to say, like, we can't, because we're gonna lose money on every single, on every single one. And that obviously doesn't work. The math doesn't work out. So by having that ratchet up over time, that allowed us to get to a point where it's like, yeah, are we making money on Fixer's, all it? No, we're not. But that's okay. That's okay, because we're gonna make it up. We're gonna make it up in volume, as they say, right? So that allowed us to put that kind of control in there, where we felt, where me running the numbers really, really roughly and really quickly, I'm like, okay, I think we can just increase this amount, and then we'll have to, if we keep unlocking, that means that these all-ins are going to fill, and then we'll unlock it again. And it was a fun way for people that got in, like number 1, number 2, number 4, to get like an insane deal, right? It's a crazy deal, because I feel that the backer kit that's available right now, we've priced that at a point where I think there's really, and hopefully everybody, we're getting enough orders. We see people see the value in what we're doing. And so the value only gets better and better from there as the earlier you got in on the Kickstarter. So it's all good. And I'm really glad that we structured the Kickstarter the way that we did, because it allowed us to really call an audible and change it as we, and continue to grow the whole project as the Kickstarter went on. So that was nice that we had the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to help out as best as I could to go afterwards and, and buy some more stuff. So hopefully that extra money will help get y'all over the hump.
Oh, it will. Thanks.
Sorry, Travis. Go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry about that.
No, thanks. No, I was just going to say, yeah, I hopped in late, but thanks to Ryan, thanks to KJ, especially Fixer on one of the shows we did, fell in love with this thing, and I jumped in on the backer kit. And I know at first I was like, man, those guys are getting a lot, but then I really added up and I'm getting a lot, even just jumping in on the backer kit. So you have 3 more days or whatever. But yeah, it's no, we're getting a lot of stuff, even with just, on the pre-order stuff. So I'm really pleased. And I wanted to bring up, because I went with the special edition. I was like, almost like, well, if I can't get the early one, I'm just going to go for the one that you can't get anymore. So that's why I love the war chief kind of look on it. The yellow and the whites and blacks really pop off the red. So you want to talk special edition for a second?
Yeah, Mark, why don't you take that one?
Special edition. Yeah, that one's been a lot of fun. Getting to put in, that not part of the original scope. And then as it grew, then then we also needed another pilot for it. And so being able to add the Red Weasel, as is the official title now, to the project was fantastic. And then just playing around with the paints on the skull. We started with Alex Wu had sent over some concept drawings for some face paint and some war paint. So then, you know, Ben and I get together and we start kind of painting up the skull and having some fun. And then before we know it, we get this really cool horn design that's going up the back of it. We get the tridents on the wings. It was a lot of fun to really deck that thing out and give an alternate version of it. Yeah, I don't know, Ben, what am I missing on that?
You covered it pretty well. You know, I think that people that are really into the Palitoy versions of the Roboskull will note that it's a bit of a nod to the second edition of the Roboskull that came out from Palitoy, which has a yellow stripe on it. So that was so that's sort of a nod back to that other version that was just a different, you know, different decals that were put on it back in the day. So that was our fun way of taking that nod and then incorporating again some of Alex Wu's concepts and kind of pulling it all together into something we thought was awesome. And then of course the for me, one of the things that was really fun about this was with that second edition Palitoy, there was it came packed with a wild weasel figure in England. So, and that was it was the same figure that came with the G.I. Joe Rattler. Well, it just so happens that Mark's all-time favorite vehicle that he got as a child was the Rattler with Wild Weasel. So there's just been some fun things, how everything just comes together. It seems to be coming together. And then, and given that, you know, that's Mark's guy, and that's his childhood, I said, hey, Mark, what would you think about putting your likeness on the pilot of the special edition? And he played it super cool. He's like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then
Every kid's dream.
I think he didn't go to bed that night, and the next morning he sends me, here's the sculpt, it's done. It looks just, he had it ready to go. So that was pretty fun. So that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's been amazing watching this thing go from, concept art paying tribute to the original designs from back in the day to like these works in progress, tantalizingly close to our hands. I'm just gonna ignore the fact that you said next year. I'm just gonna be like, any day now. Like that's gonna be my mode. Yep, any day I'll have those figures.
Really looking forward to seeing the book, that presents the journey there.
Like you said, it was jam-packed value. I'm just gonna speak a little bit right now in terms of like, we haven't seen a lot of 6-inch scale vehicles from other companies. We've seen other crowd funds fail, be it from Kickstarter or from even major manufacturers, not naming names. But the value you had jam-packed into this campaign, and in seeing how amazingly it's done from its initial standpoint and then now in its backer kit stage, what would your advice be to toy companies, large and small, about giving fans and collectors and just customers value?
I think that's a great. I love the question, KJ. I do. I think that given that we haven't yet delivered our product, I think it would be very premature for me to feel like I'm in a position to give a big company or anybody that's produced product any advice. I think that'd be pretty premature of me. But I think that the people that are watching, what we're doing, I think they get it. I think they see that that we love this thing so much that we really just kept thinking about it and put the time in and really kept refining it. And I mentioned this actually in an interview I recently did with Jason and Joel on the Order of Battle podcast, which is a great podcast. But the people the G.I. Joe Classified team over at Hasbro, they're putting out awesome product, and they're just some of the most down to earth, cool people. I heard directly from Lenny Panzica and Emily, and they told me how great our project was and how impressed they were. And some people over there have backed it. And, So I think they know they're making mass market products, and they also are fans, and they recognize when other people are willing to take the time out of their day to tell us that they appreciate what we're doing, which I thought was just amazing. So that team's every bit as nice and cool and awesome as they seem when they're presenting and marketing the products, to all the G.I. Joe fans. So shout out to that team. But they're ahead of us. They're producing awesome figures every day right now. Not every day, but at a pretty good clip. I love classified. Mark loves classified. I think the advice that I would give to someone that's thinking about running a Kickstarter or getting into it is I think that one, you have to, you can't rush it. You can't say, I'm excited and I'm gonna launch a Kickstarter later this year. Like there's so much to learn, and there's a lot more that goes into it that you never see, right? Like nobody wants to talk about how, how are you going to calculate your shipping? How are we going to deal with that tax? How are we going to set up a fulfillment center? How are we going to pay our taxes with the account? There's just a lot. What's your customer service going to look like? There's so much stuff and behind it all. And then, engineering prototypes and what's your factory contact look like? And there's so much packaging, and how's that really going to all come together? It's not as, we want it to seem easy because it's fun, right? Like look at this, it's great. But the truth of the matter is it's very, very difficult and time consuming, and there's a lot to it. So just remember that. And I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from doing it, because it's amazing that I love to see fans making bringing content out, because it resonates with other fans and we end up with great products. And then the other big piece of it, I guess, is I would really advise people not to go on this endeavor if they aren't in a financial situation where they know they can make it happen. Your costs are going to go up. Inflation's going to happen. There's going to be factors you cannot control, right? And so if you're going to be in a position where you're working in a shoestring budget, and if you go over, you're in trouble, like that's not fair to your backers. That's not fair to yourself. Don't do that, right? Because you're going to be in a situation where you're going to run short on cash, and it's not worth the stress. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I'm in a good position where I knew that going into it, that I can, no matter what happens, I'm fulfilling this. So that was another, of course, that's another big piece of this, is I'm never going to put myself in a position where I can't deliver on what I promised, regardless of what goes wrong or what happens, right? So that's just, I guess, some that's my advice, since you asked.
No, I appreciate it very much, because while not seeing an action figure line, there are definitely endeavors I'm going to undertake. So you just given me some fantastic advice to really protect the passion and love around it, and to make sure that you can deliver on something. And
you want to be able to do it the right way. That's the other really big piece of this, is that there are so many kick-ass, awesome companies right now making amazing product. So if you're going to go into this and then have to try to run a shortcut on something, that's not what anybody wants right now. Like everyone's demanding a higher and higher level of precision, quality, awesomeness all around, because the competition is fierce. And I don't mean competition in a, hey, I'm competing for your dollar. This is all good. We can all get all the toys not every toy we want, but we can all get a lot of toys, and it's a friendly, fun thing, but there really isn't room in the collector market to have subpar products to market. Like it's just not an option, right? And so it's just, again, just something you've got to, if you're thinking about going down that path, that you're in a position where no matter what, you can ensure that the quality of the product is going to be what it needs to be. And now we'll see how well I took all that advice when you guys get our products later.
So talking about that, since the Kickstarter, as of this taping, does end soon, we've all kind of been riding that buzz of the Kickstarter came out and we've watched it succeed, and then we got the backer kit and the backer kit add-ons. I noticed that, like with the last Kickstarter franchise that I was involved in, that after that backer kit closes, and between the time that it ships, you have that lull. Have you guys thought about how to keep the interest there and keep your community engaged? Just anything at all to, because I know that if you go radio silent, then people are going to forget about it, and you may not necessarily have the same sort of excitement for the next wave or something like that. I mean, how do you face that challenge of keeping that going when you're not when you're waiting to deliver the product? You're in that gap.
Well, I think one of the things is that the backers are going to be looking for updates, right? So we're going to be at a minimum monthly providing updates on progress and showing off some good stuff. The truth of the matter is that there's going to be months where hey, there's a revision to a tool to make a piece fit a little bit tighter. Okay, that's not real exciting. And I think there is a lull. There will be a lull because we can't keep this sort of crazy excitement going into up all the way through. Or maybe it's just crazy exciting for me. I don't know, but I feel like the backer kit ending in the next few days. That brings another step in the process to a close. Skeletron's going to be at Joe Fest, so we're going to be there with a booth next to Marauder. We're going to be showing off. Things in physical form, so that's going to be great and fun. We're going to do a panel. We'll be at at a minimum, we'll be at Assembly Required. Yeah, and Mark was showing off. Mark had a few things he was kind of playing with while we were talking. So what do we got there, Mark? So there's a physical guy.
There's a physical wolf trooper right now.
All not painted up yet. Yeah,
not painted. Still missing some connection points, but
amazing amount of detail.
I lost it. Yeah, so the detail's been fantastic. The sculpt really came together well. I still haven't fully assembled him, but let's see if I can get him up. But yeah,
it might be hard to get the detail.
Fantastic. Sorry, I'm not getting good lighting on this. Plus, he's
he's pretty dark, Mark.
Yeah.
Earlier, we got a nice glimpse of the intricacies of it. It's like I'm seeing like some Joy Toy vibes from here for real.
Yeah, I got them all falling apart now because I didn't peg them all together. But yeah, the details great. It's kind of funny. What was the toys we just opened yesterday, Ben? At the Acid Rain ones?
Yeah, we opened some Acid Rain.
Yeah. So it is really neat to look at some of those other toys and see what they're doing. What are they doing well? Where perhaps did they take things too far? Maybe not far enough. That's the kind of stuff we look at. The other thing that's really fun is I got a prototype here on a Marauder body, prototype head. So the fact that these are Marauder figures, and like you guys talk about with customizers and things like that, you're going to be able to customize with these different figureheads and other parts with your other Marauder figures. So that's another fun part. It just opens up, a lot more in that world too. So
yeah, I was going to ask about customizing the Roboskull itself. Maybe like a fan contest, who can create the coolest custom, without getting sued from trademarks or anything like that. But, it'd be fun to do maybe a contest once people get them in hand a year from now, or I don't know. You have any thoughts on the custom world taking on this Roboskull and kind of making their own, machine?
I love that. I hope people customize the heck out of these. There's so much customizing was one of the things that pulled me, that was one of my slips further and further down the rabbit hole, as I like to describe it, was thinking about customs and getting into customs. So I think the custom community in our community as a whole it's an awesome, talented, crazy cool community. And I've done my own customs, and we hope that people customize the heck out of these. One of the things I thought about early on is I remember when I was getting more and more involved in modern era GI Joes, like Kevin Watts did a whole project called the Canvas project, and it was his tanks that he customized, and he customized them over, and they're literally, they're works of art. They're art pieces, and he did so many of them. And I was like, yeah, right to your point, Travis, I was like, I would love for people to customize the Roboskull to that, like that kind of level, right? And come up with different, you know, anything from different paint schemes to crazy customizations. I would love to see that happen.
You got me thinking. You got me thinking of like, okay, it can't be that hard to pull off an Optimus Prime Roboskull. Like I can. What's the faceplate?
Robo Knight armor.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, the gears are turning, and these are the little sneak peeks. I almost feel like these are almost like silhouette action figure peep shows that we're getting.
They do. It does look like that on the screen. I agree.
Just a little bit. Yeah, like so this stuff is like, it's really been a bright spot in what seems to be a dark period, and it's like, I love this stuff because it fires up the imagination. Not to get hokey, but it gives me hope for a place for imagination, for art. Because if you have time to think up cool stuff like this, hopefully you can think up even better things, right? It's like you fire up people's imagination, there's no telling where it can go. So this is like, I'm trying to basically say thanks for not just undergoing such a fantastic project like this, but just really putting positive energy behind it. We don't always see that, not naming names, not pointing fingers, but we don't always see that. So like the love you have and the passion you have for it, you know, not only comes shining through, but it energizes us. It's like, it reminds me of those heavy metal magazine covers and those old Franzetta paintings and whatnot, and just having wild imagination. And then just putting that in plastic form. I can't wait to get Darth Maul with this Roboskull. I can't wait to grab some of those 3 3/4 figures that I told Travis and Chris I was never going to get because I was 6-inch all the way. And then you two, and then you guys turned me into liars.
No, that's
KJ,
good
if you're
stuff.
gonna start anywhere, start with Red Shadows, right?
It's the perfect place to start, man.
It is.
It's been fantastic. Before closing up, I just want to leave the floor open one more time to these guys, because they've been holding it down for 3 3/4 and O-ring for as long as I can imagine.
I want to echo what KJ said, Ben, especially to you, you know, because you reached out to me at the very at the beginning of this, and it was a really simple gesture, but it meant a lot. You know, I would see the video, and I would say, you know, and I was just like, oh hell, Skeletron. And one day you just sent me a message, and you were like, hey, you know, thanks for supporting us, and that means a lot. You know, like KJ said, you guys have always been positive, and you really are. You're bringing not just a toy to old men, but you bring happiness to the community. It's been great. It's really been great being even peripherally involved with the whole Roboskull journey, and it's been an honor to be to be a backer.
Thank you, guys.
I'm happy to give you my money.
And we're happy to receive it as well. So thank you. No, there's no lack of, I don't see any lack of positivity in the community. I think it's been nothing but positive to us, and it's just been a lot of love in both directions. So I've got Mark and I have nothing but great things to say about our community, and you know, we all joke around about this and that, but at the end of the day, it's a great community. There's so much talent in it. There's so much positivity. There's so many good things happening from a lot of different people. And again, you know, we just really want to thank you guys for having us on the show. Everyone who's invited us on their shows, all of our backers. We're so much further ahead than we ever thought we would have, you know, we ever imagined we could be. And, you know, KJ talking about, you know, hey, we want to get you guys to $1 million. We don't need to get to $1 million. We've hit $800,000 in sales. And that is so much more support at this point in our, you know, in this than we ever could have imagined. So we are more than happy with where we're at. It's exceptional. And, we do hope that we'll continue to reach people and people will enjoy what we're doing. And we'll just keep going. We'll keep it going from there.
Don't listen to Ben. Buy more. Buy more stuff.
Yeah, don't listen to Ben. Buy more. Million. Don't listen.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback off what those guys said. It's the community's thriving. I got myself being like addicted to backing Kickstarters now. Thanks, guys. Like started with Roboskull, now it's back in the 3D Joes, Operation, Longbow and all this stuff. But man, I wanted to add a little fun. I know you guys are into 80s. Shout out to Fabio for the gift. Get some Contra figures here.
Oh,
nice.
He repainted these. He left the pants 8-bit, or SNS, arcade style, but then he kind of made them realistic, the NECA Contra. So I figured, man, these guys against Roboskull, no chance, but it'd be a lot of fun.
Oh my god, those are fantastic.
Those are great.
Yeah, see
Love them.
Just keep jumping. Just keep jumping, and Roboskull won't get them. You just gotta keep put in that code. Put in that code, and you got it.
That's right.
Up, down, left, right.
You got 30 tries.
Yeah, but that's it. That's all I got. Thank you guys for being on. It was nice to meet you guys virtually. Hopefully we'll make a Joe Fest probably next year. I don't know if I'm going this year, but hopefully we'll be able to all meet and have a beer at a convention. Be a lot of fun.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be great. I hope
please.
I hope you make it to Joe Fest because we'll definitely be there. It's going to be a great show. Just as a fan, this will be our first year there as, setting up our own booth of Skeletron, but we love to go to Joe Fest as fans in years previous and just have a great time. So look forward to seeing everybody there and staying up till, maybe 5:30 in the morning or so. So
I'm really bummed out I'm not going to be able to make it this year because last year was so much fun. I had a great time. I'd never been to a con before, and it was amazing. But unfortunately, I put on my big boy britches at the end of last year, and I quit a job that I hated and held on until I got a job now that I love. And it was totally worth it. But unfortunately, we had to tap into the reserves. So no Joe Fest for me this year. But man, I wish you guys the best of luck there. You'll love it. The vibe there is amazing. I loved Joe Fest.
Yeah, either way, we'll cover the panel. If we watch it on YouTube or something, we'll talk about it on this show. So we got your back, whether it's virtually or physically. So.
Oh, I'll talk about y'all all day long. You give me stuff and I will talk about it.
We can find you guys at Official Skeletron on Instagram. Are there any other social to point people towards?
Yeah, official Skeletron on Facebook as well. So we've got the Facebook group, and then we also have a Skeletron Secret Skeletron Lab. I think it's called Skeletron Secret Lab. It's a private group, so you can go in there and talk nerdy and on Facebook without everyone seeing all your nerd talk. So that's a good group to jump into if you're interested, because we do give a little bit more personal, little more flavor on everything from time to time in that private group. So it's
great bunch of people too.
Check that out.
Great bunch
it's
of
a great
there.
crowd.
Go buy some t-shirts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can also get your t-shirts on TeePublic. We've got a link to that on. You can find that on our Instagram. We've got a link tree on our Instagram, and then it's skeletron.com. That also has links to everything. So
will do.
All right, and Travis, Chris, where can we find you guys at?
I am at
Moody.
Oh, sorry, buddy. Man, I'm so excited.
I love doing that, by the way. It works every time. It works every time.
Get us both to talk over each other. I'm still going to make those FU Fixer shirts. That's coming. That's
Those
coming.
I'm buying.
That was your idea. Yeah, I'm at Rented Mouth at Kitbash Creations on Instagram. I am on Facebook under Chris Johnston. I'm not on Facebook as much as I used to be, but I still get there every now and then, after work or something like that. So, but Instagram's where I like to post all of my my upcoming
It's blurred, so we can see. Okay, there we go.
my wannabe Skeletron armies and that sort of thing, creating my own headcanon as we speak. I've been knocking those things out like crazy. So yeah, definitely go there if you want to check it out, or don't. You know, it's up to you. I'm not your dad.
I can't wait to see you get that Roboskull. It's going to be like starter fluid on charcoal briquettes.
Ooh, buddy.
You probably have so many Roboskulls, you can probably use them as charcoal briquettes. But
No. I only got 2. I only got, because you know,
only.
I want to stay married. There's that, and I like the house and the food. You know, that sort of thing.
You can eat cereal bowl out of the Roboskull.
Hey, trust me, I could live broke. I've done it, but you know, my wife doesn't deserve that.
Mark, thank you for showing us all the goodies today. And it's a pleasure, man, to see all the different forms and stages that the Roboskull has. That was a real treat. Thank you for giving us that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun to share the process as we go. You know, back to the question about, you know, the lull in the cycle. There's still plenty of us for us to do. So yeah, to be able to share some of it's a lot of fun. It's really fun to see this start to take shape. So
got a little clear stand there sticking up, Mark. You want to show that off before we depart there? So there's a prototype of our figure.
It's etched into the bottom, actually.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So the top part's going to be, you know, flat, and then it's etched in the bottom. But yeah, and we had showed that off where, and again, as you're posing them.
Yep.
You know, the ability to
and that is so amazing for display.
It's so pleasing. It's so pleasing to have that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right. And as Travis said, you can find him on Trav Moody on Instagram. You can find me at Black Genghis on Instagram as well. We also have our story Totally Kind of Mood game. You can find that on YouTube at A Toy Kind of Mood on YouTube. And Ben, Mark, thank you so very, very much for this magnificent project. Congratulations once again on the insanely successful campaign on Kickstarter. And enjoy the rest of your week. Good luck on April 30th. Can't wait to see where this sucker ends up. And you all, thank you for joining us once again at the Terradrome. Be well, do well, and stay awesome. All right.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you in the toy aisle.